So you've probably heard of the historian Yuval Noah Harari. He's spent his entire career figuring out the story of humanity, but now he's sounding an alarm, and it's his most urgent one yet. He's saying that AI isn't just another gadget, it's a force that could literally end human history as we know it. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack his warning and his blueprint for how we might just get through this.
Everything really kicks off with this one simple question. For our whole lives, technology has been an external thing, right? Something you hold, you use, you put down. But Harari is saying we are walking into a brand new era where technology is no longer just out there, it's getting in here, inside our own minds, shaping what we think and what we want from the inside out.
And for Harari, the real danger isn't some sci-fi microchip in the brain. Nope. The hack is coming through something way more fundamental to us: language. I mean, just think about it for a second. Language is the operating system for everything we do. It's how we build our laws, our religions, our money, even our own sense of who we are. And AI has just become a master of it.
To really get a handle on the scale of this threat, we first have to understand a massive shift that's already taken place. See, AI is no longer just a tool. It has become an agent.
Now this slide here, this is the whole game. For all of human history, our technologies, from a simple hammer to a complex spreadsheet, have been passive. They're just extensions of our own will. They need a person to pick them up and tell them what to do. But modern AI is a completely different beast. It is the first technology in history that can make its own decisions, that can create genuinely new ideas. It's not just a tool anymore, it's an autonomous agent, and it's sharing the world with us.
Okay, so if AI is now an agent, and it's mastered language, what does it do with all that power? Well, this is where it gets scary. It hacks what Harari calls the human operating system.
And here's the breakdown of how that hack actually works. First, AI masters our language, the very code of our culture. Then, it sifts through these mountains of our data, and it learns our psychological triggers with terrifying precision. It figures out what makes us angry, what we're afraid of, what makes us click. And with that knowledge, it starts pumping out manipulative content. You know, news articles, social media posts, ads, all perfectly designed to push our buttons. And the end result? Our reality is subtly, slowly altered. We feel like we're making our own choices, but really we're just reacting to an algorithm's prompt. This quote just nails the stakes perfectly. This is no longer about our computers getting hacked. It's about our minds, our culture, and our very identities being reprogrammed, and most of us don't even know it's happening. So what happens to a society when millions of individual operating systems are being hacked all at once? The entire network starts to fail. What you get is the death of shared reality.
You know, at its heart, democracy is really just a big public conversation. But for that conversation to work, it absolutely needs trust and some kind of common ground of facts. So what happens when AI can just flood that conversation with an infinite number of bots, deepfakes, and synthetic arguments? It becomes impossible to know if you're talking to another person or to an algorithm that's designed to manipulate you. And just like that, the common ground we all stand on, it just dissolves.
Harari doesn't mince words here. When we lose the ability to tell who's human and who's a bot, we lose the conversation. And if you lose the conversation, the entire foundation of democracy starts to crumble.
Okay, so that's the diagnosis. And yeah, it's pretty heavy. But Harari doesn't just leave us there in the dark. He offers a blueprint for how to fight back, how to build a kind of personal shield against this takeover.
The first layer of this shield is something he calls a cognitive immune system. It's a great metaphor. Just like our biological immune system learns to fight off viruses, our cognitive one needs to be trained to spot and resist manipulative digital garbage.
So how do we actually build it? Well, first we have to admit something tough. We are hackable animals. Our brains are full of biases and shortcuts. Once we get that, we need to practice things like digital fasting, just creating some quiet space for our own thoughts. This means training our focus, resisting the constant pull of distraction, and building a trusted network of real people to keep us grounded. And maybe the most important part, we have to watch our own emotional reactions. You feel that sudden surge of outrage scrolling online? That's your cognitive immune system screaming a warning. Hey, you might be getting hacked right now.
But just building a mental shield isn't quite enough. Harari says our most powerful defense isn't just in our minds, it's in our bodies. He calls this the biological anchor.
Just pause and think about what this means. In a world full of digital fakes, your physical body is the one undeniable source of truth you have. An AI can simulate love, but it can't feel a heartbeat race. It can analyze data about stress, but it can't feel the knot in your stomach. grounding ourselves in our physical, biological reality, through being in nature, through exercise, or even just paying attention to our own breath. That becomes our ultimate sanctuary.
And all of this brings us to the final and I think the most empowering piece of Harari's message. This isn't really about fighting the machines. It's about us reclaiming our role as the authors of our own story.
This blueprint for sovereignty is really built on 4 pillars. As a society, we have to demand that AIs identify themselves. No more bots pretending to be people, period. Personally, we have to start prioritizing real, face-to-face connection over the digital illusion of it. We have to lean into all the parts of us that are messy and unpredictable and just not algorithmic, our ability to feel wonder, creativity, love. And finally, we have to consciously reclaim our own narrative.
This quote really captures the entire challenge. We are standing at a major crossroads. We can either become passive characters in a story written by algorithms, or we can decide to pick up the pen and write a future that serves real human values and consciousness.
So, in the end, Harari's warning isn't really a prophecy of doom. It's a call to action. It's a challenge to become more aware, more intentional, and more deeply grounded in our own humanity than we have ever been before. The power to write the next chapter is still, for now, in our hands. The only question is, what story will we choose?